A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. I'm Ritvika Gupta and you're watching our very special awards edition, and tonight is the final part of our week-long series. In the first segment, a conversation lined up with some of our jury members who were felicitated at the awards this year and shared their expert insights on new age entrepreneurs. In the second segment, content creator and actor Prajakta Koli talks to us about the creator economy.
MK, if I could request you to do the honors, we'd love to felicitate some of our jury members who are here. MK, can we have you here to do the honors? Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Anurag Kedia, the co-founder of Pilgrim. Anurag, if we can have you on stage, please. Anurag, if I can request you to just stay on a little while longer. Now I'd like to invite up on stage Mr. D. Shivakumar, the operating partner at Advent International. Mr. Shivkumar, yes, if you could just stay back on. And finally, if you could, everyone put your hands together for Ravi Saxena, co-founder and CEO at Wonder Chef. Thanks, MK, for doing the honors. If I could request the three jurors to stay on a little while longer with me. We're just getting a mic to you and would love to hear from all three of you, maybe one by one. Mr. Saxena, if you could start.
So as we said in the films that you saw, I think the process was very transparent and fair. There was a very credible jury, and I was honored to be a part of it. But for me, really, the most exciting thing was to see the variety of ideas, the belief you all have in your ideas, and the way you are going about executing them. I mean, I started my career about 30 years ago, and thinking back, I could not imagine that, we could have the guts and confidence to go like this. And as someone just said, that this is next 15 to 20 years are going to be India's China moment. We have to grab this. And when I see these entrepreneurs, these SMEs, I think we are going to get there very soon. Thank you.
Fantastic. Mr. Shivkumar, Anurag first.
Yeah, I think I have a few memories from the day we met all the contestants. The first one is the kind of innovation and work which a lot of rural entrepreneurs were doing. Our panel had the opportunity to meet many of the rural entrepreneurs where people were doing innovation around seed, pesticide, fertilizers, and some very, very interesting work. And the second memories I have is it was so difficult to choose the final winners because all the participants which had been shortlisted by the prior rounds, they were all so good. And it was quite a learning experience for all of us also, the jury members, to interact with so many entrepreneurs in a day and understand their journeys.
Fantastic. That's really important. A very humble statement, I think, Anurag, you said, which is that, they also got to learn a lot from the entrepreneurs. I think that's actually very important because I believe, and Mr. Shivkumar would love you to weigh in on this also, that learning never stops. So just your thoughts on the nominees that you met, the winners, and just on this, that learning never stops. What are your thoughts on that?
Thank you for that. Thank you, E.T., for inviting all of us here. It was a fabulous full day. I'll tell you what I learned from watching all the entrepreneurs and listening to them. The first thing I learned, irrespective of which part of the chain they were in, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's in retail, whatever they were doing, Number one, they had a digital component to it. That was very, very important. Without that, it won't be an idea. Okay, so digital and the differentiation of digital was very important. Two things which surprised me, and as a learning, is that both people and capital were not challenges. Capital was available if the idea was good, and good people were joining them if the idea was good. So today, capital and people are not, a chicken's neck for any entrepreneur. So that's what I learned. Those three things stuck with me as I went through the whole day.
Fantastic, and I'm sure our partners here, IDFC First Bank, would be very happy to know that you also heard this, that capital is not an issue for MSMEs, because that, when you talk to an MSME, and Mr. Saxena, yeah, let's hear that applause, ladies and gentlemen. This is, like we said, the new age entrepreneurs, the new age of doing business in India. And Mr. Saxena, from your experience also, generally we always talk, what are the big hurdles for MSMEs? Capital, people, a market. And like Mr. Shivkumar said, technology has helped break that as well. In your business, in your line of work, when you meet people also, the impact of technology, how are you seeing? Because, gone are the days where someone would say, I'm in manufacturing, I'm in textiles. People say, everybody is in a digital business here, is in a technology business. Just your thoughts.
Yeah, look, I would say there are two aspects of technology. One, the business idea itself could be tech-oriented, and a lot of business ideas are today. At the same time, there are traditional businesses which also have an important component of technology which must be implemented. Otherwise, competition will just roll you over. For example, there was a time we have a large sales organization, a lot of feet on street. I wouldn't call ourselves a tech business. Yes, we have very tech products, we have techie products, but we are not a tech business. But these salespeople that we have, about 600, 700 of them on the field, without a great tech behind that, without a great Salesforce automation system, we will not be able to get efficiencies that we need today. So every business today, whether it is a tech business in the real terms, or it's a traditional business, it has to adopt technology. And the fight, the challenge, the belief comes from the promoter himself. Nobody else will be able to do it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Saxena. Thank you, Mr. Shivkumar. And thank you, Anurag.
It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11 Award Special Edition with me, Ritvika Gupta. In this segment, my colleague Pooja Jain is in conversation with Prajakta Koli, popularly known as Mostly Sane, on the rise of creatorpreneurs and what it takes to shine in India's creator economy. Listen in.
All right, moving on. Now, our next guest is a digital pioneer, a comedian with a cause, and a shining example of the rising breed of creatorpreneurs. Those who transform entertainment into impactful enterprises. Now, her relatable persona bridges the gap between online engagement and offline action, sparking real-world conversations and inspiring positive change. She's mastered the art of turning engagement into revenue, proving that artistic integrity and commercial success can coexist. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Prajakta Koli, also known as Mostly Sane on social media. I'd like to also invite up on stage Pooja Jain, special correspondent at Times Network, to spear the conversation.
Good evening. Very happy to be here.
Very happy to be here, and thank you, Sumeet, and thank you and congratulations to all our winners in the audience. Please give yourselves a huge round of applause. I believe it's deeply deserved. And Prajakta, it's such an honor to share this platform with you and spend some time to get to know you better. We've been following you for a very long time.
Thank you.
But many of us know Prajakta the persona and not necessarily Prajakta the person. So let's go back to the beginning. And I have to ask you, who or what even inspired you to launch your YouTube channel in the first place? And 7 million subscribers later, did you ever anticipate that this venture would take on an entrepreneurial turn?
Honestly, the online persona and the person in real life is not very different. Because very early on in my career as a YouTuber, I realized that it'll be a very tough climb if I try to be two people at the same time. But having said that, Sudeep Lahiri is here. He's here with me. There he is. He met me when I was working as a radio production intern in a radio station in Mumbai. And he suggested that I should start a YouTube channel. I honestly had absolutely no clue what that is. So I went into it very, very, very blind. And every single day that I worked as a YouTuber, next month I actually celebrate 9 years of being a creator, which is just mad because when I started off, I'd not even thought that would be a thing.
That deserves a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean,
nearly a decade of this.
Yeah, so I'd not seen any of this happening. So if you really ask me if there was any thought that went behind it, was this like a strategic move or a very entrepreneurial journey for me? It really wasn't. I have kind of winged it so far.
Well, that's all the more interesting because your YouTube channel, Mostly Sane, has clocked well over upwards of 1 billion views. And finding one's authentic voice, as an entertainer, and as an entrepreneur is very challenging to begin with. But to monetize that is yet another mountain to climb, right? So did you ever feel the urge to throw in the towel? Did you ever sort of think, this isn't the right path for me?
I would have if I knew better. I was 21 when I started. I had no clue. I was overconfident till I was 21 because I was so sure I was going to be the best radio jockey this country has ever seen. Till I became one and then I heard my show and I was like, nope, got to find another thing to do in life. Honestly, if I really was older, smarter, had more knowledge in general, not that I am that now, just older, but I would have probably thought of this as, maybe I need to approach it with a more calculated view. But really, no. And I think that lack of knowledge, also a certain amount of ignorance towards what really works, what doesn't work, how life should be as a creator, or just the lack of kind of understanding where this was going. Because, I mean, 9 years ago, if you asked any of us, did we see digital platforms reaching where they are right now? We'd be like, no. If you ask me right now where I see digital economy growing in the next 2 years, I have no idea. I know it's going upwards, but what direction it's going in, nobody knows. So, not really. I mean, I've had my days where I felt like, am I going to be able to keep doing this? Or how long do I keep doing this? But I'm so grateful that my job is never the same. I mean, not one day is like another. So new doors that I had not expected started opening up, like something like a Mismatched happening for me for Netflix.
Exactly.
Or something like if a Dharma Productions is looking at me and wanting to audition me. I mean, those were doors that I would have loved, and I've always been a fan. I wanted to be an actor. But I didn't really wake up necessarily every morning as a creator thinking, chalo, I'll do this ताकि इससे मुझे acting के jobs मिल जाएं.
Gee. So, look, my understanding is that you grew up in a middle-class household.
I did.
In Thane.
Yes.
You're not far from where I currently live in Mumbai. Oh. And as you explained this concept of a creator economy to friends and to family, did they ever look your way with confusion or perhaps doubt, disbelief, or even fear for that matter?
I find myself extremely privileged and very, very lucky. There's no other explanation to this. But the two people that I went to for validation were my mama and my baba. When I went to them telling them that I want to do this, and I told them, 1 साल मैंने radio station के लिए काम किया, and that didn't really work for me. तो 1 साल और मुझे काम करने दो अपने लिए. And I remember my father and we were eating dinner at the table, and both of them stopped mid-dinner, and they looked at me, they're like, why 1 year? Take 2 years, it's fine. There were no questions asked, and I understand what an incredibly privileged place that is to be in. So I actually never even waited to discuss this with my family or my friends, or I didn't really get bothered with people not understanding. Also, my friends were extremely supportive. They were there when I was shooting my first video. So as long as my parents were on board with it, I think I was good to go.
Well, look, 9 years is a significant amount of time. Right. And if we were to speak to your fans or to your followers, Prajakta, how might they describe how your voice has evolved, how your brand of comedy has evolved? I know introspection is always incredibly difficult, but what do you believe they'd say?
They do say it. That is what I love about digital platforms, because it's all in the comment section. You really don't have to wait and, you don't have to wait for the TRPs to come, or you don't have to wait for the audience reactions to come. It's just there as soon as your content goes up.
Immediate feedback loop.
Immediate feedback, which is great. I depend on that hugely for everything that I do. The fact that my community has gotten bigger, and I'm very proud to say that. I always say this, but I have the best audience. They have supported me through everything. I say this on every stage that I go to. The fact that my community has become bigger, but also that much stronger. I still see comments from some viewers of mine who actually were one of the first few hundreds to subscribe to my channel, because I remember doing a meet and greet way back in time and meeting them, and we're still in touch. So the fact that they've stayed with me through all of this is a huge pat on my back. That kind of gives me the sheer guts to wake up and even try different things, or like move into these different avenues that I clearly don't know much about, but I'm trying and learning on the way. Secondly, I think having huge platforms like a YouTube show any kind of confidence in me. I mean, it's one thing for me to create content in my room and put it out on YouTube and just hope for people to watch it, but it's a whole different game for YouTube to tell me that, hey, we're going to send you to the World Economic Forum, we're going to send you to COP, we're going to send you to the UNGA, we're going to send you to the Billion Follower Summit, and how about you just talk? Tell us what you think. Use that platform. Make your voice heard. I feel like that is also quite validating for a creator like me to keep doing what I'm doing.
Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that calls for a round of applause. And, tonight is all about celebrating entrepreneurship. And you mentioned guts. And grit and determination is what it really takes to succeed. And you also mentioned something very interesting a bit earlier, which is that while this is the leaders of tomorrow, nobody quite knows what tomorrow holds, right? That's the whole irony of it. So walk us through some of your early experiences in the content creation business that might take even some of the most seasoned entrepreneurs in this room by surprise.
Wow, that's not a loaded question at all. I honestly don't know, but two of my biggest learnings, they are actually intertwined. Number one is that content blocks are inevitable, and I feel like that's something that happens with everyone who's doing any kind of creation.
Absolutely.
Right? And I learned that the quicker I make peace with it, the easier it is for me to get over it. Number two was, and I was so funny because I was just talking about it, that no matter how good, because when we start off as entrepreneurs, or we start off as someone, we're all one-person armies, right? And no matter how talented or how confident or how hardworking you are, I've just come to realize that you cannot do it alone. So for me, having my team has made the whole thing accelerate for me. I've been with the same team. I'm with One Digital Entertainment, so Gurpreet, Saurav, Sudeep, who've been my team since day one. 9 years of knowing them, they've become family now, and I don't think there is anything at this point I can do, and that doesn't come from a place of feeling handicapped or spoiled. It actually comes from a place of knowing that we're all good at different things, and we really work together when we are one unit. So I think these two things have been huge lessons for me.
Phenomenal. And Prajakta, I believe that the creator economy was traditionally dominated by celebrity influencers. And we're seeing this significant but gradual shift towards empowerment and towards education, right? By way of knowledge sharing. And you seem to straddle both worlds quite effortlessly, right? So where does that stem from?
It's what I want to do. It comes from a place of wanting to do that. I think in 2016 is the first time I realized that there is so much more beyond the content I was doing, because I was speaking to my audience and they were speaking back, because I had the first socially relevant conversation I made on my channels was about body positivity. And I was very, very surprised with the kind of feedback I got for it when I first put it out. And that was kind of the first domino in this whole, I went from body positivity to mental health, to girl education, to xenophobia, inclusivity, gender equality, and now the latest that is climate action. So I feel like it all kind of just worked out very organically. And I learned on the way, and I realized that it is something that brings me a lot of joy. That I love the fact that I can draw a mustache on my face and crack lame jokes with my audience, but when we sit down and talk about sustainability and waste segregation, they're still listening. And that's a high for me. I like that the relationship that I have with my audience is more than just one dimension. And I feel like that's my biggest asset as a creator. So I like to hold on to that because it brings me a lot of joy. So it really hasn't been, like there really haven't been exercises I do कि अच्छा अभी इतना किया है इसके बारे में तो दूसरे के बारे में इतना करो, so it's balanced. It's really not that much. And when you become a creator, put yourself out there, you just realize that sometimes it's really not that much thought. Your audience and you can kind of navigate through it easily because it's not like any of us know what we are doing.
Phenomenal. And you mentioned so many causes. And for entrepreneurs out there that might be struggling to connect the dots between online engagement and offline action, what words of wisdom might you have for them?
Do brand collabs with creators. We can help you bridge that.
Wow.
Thank you.
You got a willing audience right
While
there.
we're at it, please subscribe to Mostly Say. Sorry, will you say that one more time?
Sure. In terms
While
of,
you were saying that, I was planning to say this. I was just like,
because online engagement, right, is all fuzzy math.
Yeah.
But when you see the offline action, you
Yeah.
can't dispute it, right? And connecting the dots between the two is not something everyone can do.
you know, honestly, as a creator, I'll only speak for one side of it. But I have had some lovely collaborations. I have done beautiful, and I've been doing it for 9 years now. 8 years. I started doing it 8 years ago. I've had great collaboration. It really just boils down to you knowing what your brand is. I feel like as long as you know what your ethics are, as long as you know what you stand for, as long as you know what your direction is with what you're doing, I think it really simplifies every collaboration that you do in connecting these dots.
Words to live by for our entrepreneurs in the audience. Determining your brand, right? Ladies and gentlemen, Prajakta Koli for a huge round of applause
Thank
once
you.
more.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
With that, it's a wrap on our very special awards edition. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.